All right, class, welcome. Welcome to the second half of the semester. We made it through the first half. Things are looking good. Uh, I want to congratulate all of you for making it this far. And let's finish strong. We got a few more weeks to go. Going to continue this week with our weekly discussion of the contents in chapter 7 this week. And specifically in chapter 7, I want to go over uh, Lawrence Kohlberg. He was a researcher in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. One of the things that he researched was how humans develop their moral compass, how they learn right from wrong and learn how to behave in society. He came up with 6 steps that folks will progress through as they get older. And let's go over those now. Each of those steps or the stages are lumped in 2 per level. So the first level having stages 1 and 2, those are essentially children. Uh, Between the ages of 1 to 5 is when the first stage usually kicks in as humans kind of develop their personality and their character. Stage 1 is called punishment and obedience. So what Kohlberg found was essentially humans can learn, children, toddlers can learn how to behave merely through how to avoid punishment, learning how to avoid punishment. If you uh, if you discipline a child for doing something wrong, then they're not going to want to do that again. So they learn by associating pain of punishment how to avoid a certain behavior. And I hope that sounds familiar because we've talked about that several times. Jeremy Bentham and his rational choice theory back from the 1700s. Humans in general will avoid pain and seek pleasure. So in this toddler phase is the first half of that. They're going to avoid pain. As children are punished for doing wrong behavior, then they're going to associate wrong behavior with punishment and avoid that wrong behavior with the motivation of avoiding the pain of punishment, the discipline. Mind you, it doesn't have to be, in this theory, it doesn't have to be physical pain, the pain of losing something, the pain of being yelled at, the pain of disappointing their parents. Any kind of discipline is a form of pain. It doesn't have to be a physical, corporal punishment style of pain. But as the children progress and get older, there's another phase that sets in, and that phase is called instrumental purpose and exchange. I'm looking at my notes here. It's called instrumental purpose and exchange, and that kicks in right around between the ages of 5 and 10. So we already talked about, remember Jeremy Bentham said you're going to seek pleasure and avoid pain. We already talked about avoiding pain. So as children get a little bit older, between the ages of 5 and 10, they start realizing that if not only if I avoid bad behavior will I get punished, but if I do right, if I do what's accepted, then I'm rewarded. I'm given pleasure. So there's your 2 halves of the rational choice theory. As children progress to the age of about 10, initially they learn how to avoid the pain of punishment by avoiding wrong behavior, and then they learn how to seek the pleasure of reward by doing right behavior. So there's the initial stages of learning right from wrong and how to behave in society, or at least how those who are raising them, those who are influencing them, want them to behave. Progressing a little higher into the teenage years, we come into level 2, which also has 2 stages. The first stage being interpersonal expectations and conformity. Between the ages of early teenage, 10 to 16 years old, what they will realize, what children and teenagers will realize, is that not only will their right behavior provide rewards for them, but it also, they start seeing the reward of the relationships around them. So if you act right, then those around you will be happy with you. They don't have to actually give you a physical reward, but merely by pleasing others around you, it becomes a personal reward. So they learn what's expected of them in society, and their society at that age isn't necessarily a global world view. Society for somebody at that age could be their teachers, their parents, their friends, things like that. So moving on to the later teenage years, around the age of 16 into the mid-20s, as folks become adults, they hit that last natural stage of progression. So the first 4 stages that we talked about today are the natural progression stages. Even though there are 6 stages, Kohlberg opined that most people in society aren't going to go past stage 4. So let's talk about stage 4 real quick. Essentially, as folks become young adults and into their early 20s and mid 20s, they begin to obey the rules that have been established around them, the laws, excuse me, the laws that are established around them because they exist. They don't break the law because there's a law. They don't break the rules because there's a rule. It's a conformity decision. And that conformity decision has no independent thought. There's no rational mental discussion within themselves of why does this rule exist? Why am I not allowed to, for instance, why am I not allowed to steal? I just know I can't steal because it's against the law. Or I can't steal because I'll be punished, things like that. But there's no depth into thinking, what is the reason for this rule? Why was that rule put in place? And again, that stage 4 is called law and order social system maintenance. So if that is the service level thinking, as we move on to that 5th stage where, according to Kohlberg, most of society, up to 75% of society, never reaches stage 5. They never get past why is this rule in place. It's just there's a rule. I don't want to break the rule because I've been taught right from wrong. But as we go into that level 3, that 5 and 6 stage, we'll see that there's more of an understanding of why those rules are in place. Stage 5 is called the social contract legalism stage. That's where folks start to realize the morality of the rules. It's more of a conceptual thought. It's more of, I don't need a law to tell me what's right and wrong. I know what's right and wrong. And even if there is a law that is in place, perhaps I disagree with that law. And that fades into stage 6. Stage 6 talks about civil disobedience and realizing that sometimes there are rules. Sometimes I'm given a law. Sometimes I'm given a societal rule, a norm for society, and I realize that doesn't actually benefit all of society. Stage 6 looks into the democratic process and realizes that just because the majority of a society wants something doesn't mean it's necessarily the right versus wrong thing to do. Slavery, for instance, civil rights, things like that, things that were voted into law were in place. If majority rules and majority makes our societal rules, then somebody has to stand up and realize that's not a good rule for everybody. Maybe the majority of people, it was democratically voted on, and maybe the majority of people want this, but we have to take a step back in that layered thinking and say, how does this affect all of society? Is this an unjust rule that was just put in place because mob ruled? So how does one fight against those rules that are in place if they've already been voted on and they're already enacted as law? One of the ways that is combated is civil disobedience, breaking one law to show and bring attention to an unjust law. So those are the 6 stages that Kohlberg came up with. What I want you to do this week is use those 6 stages in the discussion forum and follow the prompt and continue the discussion of what we started here in your own thoughts. Remember to use additional research, multiple resources to be cited in each of your posts, and keep your posts meeting the word requirements and moving the conversation along. Things have been great thus far. I want to encourage you, and it's been great reading your posts. I'm looking forward to reading them this week. And if you have any questions, as always, please reach out to me. What I'd like to do is I'm going to offer a little bit of extra credit. So I know I've tried to reach out to several of you and I haven't gotten responses. If I have a specific question about one of your submissions, or I don't know if you guys are checking your Johnston County emails that are issued to you as a student. And if you are not, I encourage you to do that, log in. But if there's a better way to reach you, if I have a question, I want you to email me. Give me a good point of contact for you, a phone number, an email, something like that. My email is in my bio on the page here. Email me your best contact info for the rest of the semester in case I have any questions and I want to get a hold of you. And if you email me that, what I'll do is I'll give you a bonus of 5 points for this week's forum posts. All right. any other questions, I encourage you to reach out to me. Remember, check those emails because I do know that there are a few that are pending where I have some questions that I need to clarify with you. And if you have any other concerns about how to cite sources, why we cite sources, what the best way to do that is, make sure you look at the resources that I've already posted. And if that doesn't help, reach out to me. I'll help you out. That's what I'm here for. So I just want to make sure that you're doing outside research and you're documenting that outside research. I want you to learn from multiple sources, learn from these videos, learn from the textbook, and then do your own research. And that's what helps solidify that learning. All right, I look forward to that this week's posts, and we will chat soon.